What's going on, everybody? This is Devin the Bear, post UFC 285. Pretty solid card. Got to see some pretty good fights, and we're going to get right into that in just a second. Just wanted to let you know you can follow us on Instagram at Devin the Bear and on YouTube at Devin the Bear, all those different things. We'd just ask that you comment, talk with us, let us know what you think. We post polls every now and then. Give us ideas on what you want from us. Anything else?
And Facebook. Also, give
Facebook.
us a like on Facebook at Devin. Oh, no, I don't think it's at Devin.
I think it's just Dev Bear because it
that's the
forced the option of a first and last name.
Right. So that's the personal Facebook, but we have a Facebook page, which is Devin the Bear Podcast. And so you need to get those likes up because we're at like fucking 15.
Smash that like button.
Yeah. I was going to say something else.
But, okay. Anyway, so UFC 285 was pretty good. There were some really fun fights, but obviously the focus is going to be the main event and the co-main event. Jon Jones is the heavyweight GOAT, and I feel like it's really early to say that, but that's what everybody's saying. He's had one fight at heavyweight. Is he the greatest of all time at MMA? I guess we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk of the fight. There's not a lot of fight to talk about.
No, there's not.
But I think I saw someone say Ciryl Gane didn't even get one shot in, and like he absolutely did.
Yeah,
it was to the groin, and it was very good groin shot.
That's pristine shot right there.
It's as good as it gets. And maybe he just felt like he needed a break. Like maybe he went in there and took one of Jon's leg kicks and was like, "Oh dang, okay,
I'm just gonna kick you in the dick.
Let me get my warning, and we'll be right back to it."
Yeah, let me slow you down a little bit.
But yeah, it started off and there's a little bit of an exchange, and then the groin shot within like 2 seconds of after they met in the center. But eventually Gane missed a punch, I believe it was, and he ended up kind of spinning around to try to get his spacing back. Jon took his back because he's a wrestler, and this is what we're trying to say is he's a wrestler. Ciryl Gane obviously had problems with wrestling, and that was the beginning of the end. And he got a ninja choke, a standing guillotine, not really standing after a certain point, but it was interesting. I think a lot of people didn't realize how deep it was until certain pictures came out. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but it was really deep. And Jon, since he had so much leverage pushing downwards, I think it was both a choke and a crank because he's shoving the top of Ciryl Gane's head down while also cutting in on the throat. It was very good. At first, I think I felt the same. I felt like Ciryl Gane tapped really fast, and it was kind of weird. And I won't lie, I had the thought, like, what if he just threw this fight? All this talk about like fight scripts lately with all this stupid Logan Paul stuff, Jake Paul, whoever it was. And then like NFL scripts. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was the thing too. There's scripted NFL games supposedly, but I was just like, man, what if the script was Jon supposed to go in there and get a real fast submission, and Ciryl Gane is just like, he's not doing it very well, but I still have to tap.
Dude, I saw the choke, and at first I was like, I saw it, and I was talking with my coworkers about, we all like stopped what we were doing to watch that fight. And
actually, they're very hard workers.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. We were finished with our job for the night, so we sat down and we watched the fights. But now, like, we were sitting there watching it, and I saw the first time he went for it, and they're like, they're like, you think he's got it in? I was like, nah, like, you can still kind of see his hands. I was like, it looks like he's going more for a neck crank. And then the second he gets it in again, and then he tapped, we're like, what the hell just happened? We're like, and then one of the dudes had stepped out. He's like, I'm gonna miss the fight, dude. He's like, but I need to take this sample. And he steps out, and then he comes back and was like, what the? He was just like, dude, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, no, you shouldn't have left, man. But it was, and then they show a different angle finally, and you see that the arm is under the chin,
deep under the chin.
Yeah, like Jon Jones. The people people always talk about his reach, and he just has such long arms that he can just leverage that and get that right under the chin. Get the forearm right under there and just go ahead and crank it. But yeah, even then, like whenever like they were standing up and Ciryl Gane would throw like a leg kick or something, or try to throw a kick, and like Jon Jones would just like throw a punch while he's throwing the kick, and it's like, yeah, dude, he has 84-inch reach, like,
and he has that same speed and timing.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd say speed. We didn't get to see a whole lot, so it's hard to really say anything concrete, but yeah,
Yeah.
like he had counters. He was ready.
Yeah, and he was ready for anything Sorrell was going to throw. And then I think Sorrell was just surprised. I think he was surprised by the strength of Jon Jones. I think he was surprised by how well rounded he was by the IQ. Because it happens to a lot of these guys when they fight Jon Jones. They just freeze up because they're just
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands.
And
Like,
I'll say this: I don't think it got to that point with Cyril. I think he just doesn't know how to grapple. He's
yeah,
not used to having to grapple. And
yeah.
against someone like Jon Jones, you're going to. He's a wrestler. It's what he
And we
does.
saw Jon Jones actually pressure right away. We don't really see Jon Jones usually gets a
Yeah.
little fill out, and
And
it's like,
I feel like that's something we said too
yeah,
last time,
what's that?
was that Jon Jones going to have to go out there and put the pressure on him real fast.
I think you said that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I said it.
Yeah,
He has to do that real fast. Otherwise, Cyril Gahn's going to take over.
yeah, and that's exactly what he did, man. And so, I mean, there's really not much else to say about the performance of Jon Jones because, like, or just keep discussing this fight in the sense of just because, like, it was so one sided and it was
Yeah.
quick and it was dominant. It was everything that a Jon Jones performance that you're used to seeing. But it was all of what the people who are fans of Jon Jones expected as well. So post fight, he calls out Stipe Miocic for International Fight Week in July, and he says he wants to fight the heavyweight GOAT, and I'm like, man, okay, but I don't like that fight for Stipe.
I don't either. I like the respect from Jon Jones to Stipe, calling him out, saying he's the heavyweight GOAT, like saying that that's the fight he wants because that's like what would solidify his, legacy as a heavyweight.
Right.
But like, yeah, you probably beat Stipe.
Yeah, I think he beats the shit out of Stipe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is done at range.
Yeah.
And then once Stipe starts closing in with punches, takedown.
Like I told a coworker last night, he was sorry.
You're fine.
I told a coworker last night. He asked me, he's like, how do you think that fight plays out with them two? I was like, honestly, I think Jones absolutely dominates him. I was like, Stipe's been out since 2020. So is so is Jon Jones, but like with Stipe is like, I was like, he's older now. I was like, I think he's like 6 or 7 years older than Jon Jones. Jon Jones is still in his 30s. Stipe, his last fight was when he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou. You get knocked out by a guy like Francis Ngannou, you're not the same after. Like you're really look at Rosenstruck. Like
Overeem.
Overeem.
Overeem was always kind of like that.
Yeah,
though.
like he always had a questionable chin in this, but it's also heavyweights. But like whenever the older you're getting older, a little more wear and tear. I mean, you just got knocked out by a guy who has the strongest punch in the world, apparently. You're more susceptible to just being clipped more often. And Stipe's not getting any younger, and we waited 3 years for this fight. And I see Jon Jones just absolutely ragdolling him. I'm a huge Stipe fan. I love watching his fights. I think he's a cool dude. Like his personality, the way he brings it, into the like even like outside of the fight, like fighting and stuff like that. But it's like I don't really know how you beat Jon Jones, and Jon Jones is about to like cement another legacy. And I was watching his post fight presser last night, and he kind of said he said something about he's like I for sure got one more in me. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, and everyone just like just walked past that. Like, it was just like we're like, oh, okay, and then went about their business. Like, wait, hold on. You said you have for sure one more in you. Does that mean like you're gonna beat Stipe and that's it?
Well, I know I saw someone say that they think Jon's gonna retire, and after he gets the belt, he's gonna retire, and then solidify himself as the GOAT because now nobody can take it from him. But if he does one defense, that's just a huge step. Title defenses are weird because it's like when you get the championship, in my mind, and how I feel like in any mind for someone who's a competitor, like if you win the belt, that's cool, but you have to defend it if you want to be called the champion.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's that part in Jon, and he's like, if I call out Stipe, I'll get Stipe, I can beat Stipe, and then we can move on, and I'll be done.
Yeah.
Because I do think there's a up and comer list in the heavyweight division that's a little different. Tom Aspinall's a little different. I know he's still got to recover and all that stuff, but anyway, Pavlovich is a little different. There's a handful of guys, Spivak, like even him, like there's a handful of guys that are they're different for heavyweights.
And like there's even Curtis Blades though. Like I know he gets a little bit of slack, but you saw his last fight against Chris Dawkins, and it's like, okay, even though like you were known just as a as a pretty much like what Jon Jones called a meat blanket. Like you
Yeah.
take these guys down, you just lay on them. But like his fight against Chris Dawkins, it's like you have shown exactly what you should be doing after a loss, and you have shown improvement. Like his boxing, his Chris Dawkins was crazy, dude. Like that fight was a TKO because of the stand up, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
So it's just there's a long list of guys. It's just like when GSP, which I guess that's a good segue into the next conversation. But it's just like when GSP went up to middleweight and took the belt from Bisping. Like, there's all these new killers that you have to fight now to prove yourself. And I mean, it's GSP, so he didn't have to. But it's you look at everybody wanted him to fight Whitaker, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I love GSP. He's the best, but I don't know if he can beat Whitaker. Whitaker at the time was just he was a monster.
Dude, yeah.
And I mean, he still is, but it was different then. He didn't have to fight as smart because he was hungry, he was trying to get it, and then he got it, and then he was like, all right, now I need to protect it. And that's a different mindset. But anyway, who is the GOAT? Is it I think the two that I've been seeing in contention for it is GSP and now Jon Jones. I will always deep down say GSP, just because of what he did. The only times he has losses, he went back and he beat them 2 times on one of the cases with Matt Hughes. He beat the best of the best, not just in his weight division, but he beat like a list of people who were considered pound for pound at one time or another. BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, and then he went up a weight class after 5 years almost and beat the champion in that division. So the argument for Jon Jones is he beat all these people and then went up a weight class after 3 years and beat the number 1 contender.
Yeah.
I would say GSP did a little more than that, and he never popped for steroids.
Yeah, I mean that's the argument right there. Is is a lot of things that Jon Jones and GSP's careers are very coincided. Like they just there's a lot going on there. But that's always been my argument with why I don't consider Jon Jones the greatest of all time is because of the steroid scandals. And people can say, oh well, I'm sure fucking GSP's taking something that GSP was probably on taking something that wasn't on the unbanned list,
Maybe,
and I
but
get that, and I don't disagree with that argument because that is a valid point. But GSP never failed a drug test.
yeah, I was about to say, like,
and that's the thing is like, if people say, well, Jon Jones failed for picograms, and it's like, hold on, wait a second, hold up, wait a minute, but he fell for 2 different supplements though. Like people forget about it. It was Turnabol and it was clomiphene. There's, I mean, you have to consider that, and it's like it's not. You have to be very you can't just be one sided. You have to be very broadsided when it comes to the actual discussion of who is the greatest of all time. And like I want to say Jon Jones, especially after performance last night. I want to say Jon Jones, but it's like realistically looking at it, it's like you look at the credentials and you look at the slip ups of Jon Jones, and I'm not talking like outside the octagon. I'm talking strictly just fighting. You look at those slip ups, and then you see GSP, and GSP wanted stricter drug testing, and so it's like right there. It's like it's I don't know. Like even at UFC 280, UFC 182, Jon Jones like even had elevated testosterone levels, and they just kind of brush that off under the carpet. What's it called? But I still want to say GSP, even though I feel like after last night it's Jon Jones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think they're still tied, I think. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but those are probably a lot of the same people who think that Conor was the greatest of all time at one point.
Yeah,
and
I would say greatest showman,
Sure, but don't be
that's
an idiot and say he's the greatest fighter of all time.
yeah.
He didn't do anything.
no.
He did a lot, but he didn't solidify anything. And I think that there's a certain kind of rubric you have to follow and a criteria you have to meet, and part of that is defending your belts.
Yeah, and that's what even Jon Jones said. He doesn't feel like he's a real champion until he defends the belt.
Yeah.
But my thing is though, is like I don't want to see him fight Stipe as much as I would enjoy that fight. I would enjoy that fight a little while back. I want to see him fight Pavlovich.
Yeah. And I saw someone say that they think Pavlovich would destroy him, and I don't know about that.
No.
I think IQ is going to be a big roadblock for a lot of heavyweights.
Yeah.
Not that I think a lot of heavyweights lack an IQ. I think they just lack an experience fighting against IQ.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, in the heavyweight division, like obviously the people who have the most success tend to be people who hit hard, which is crazy, right? Um, but you look at the top 5 guys, I don't know, 5 years ago, and it was nothing but heavy hitters, and that's it.
Yeah.
You look at other than Stipe, I think Stipe's got very good technique, but now you look at who the top 5 is kind of becoming, and it's technical guys, it's grapplers, and you don't see that in heavyweight a whole lot. So I do think it's different, but I think that's the new wave of fighters that's coming in heavyweight because they had to beat power punchers. So how do you beat power punchers? You be a grappler.
Yeah.
So how do you beat someone with an IQ like Jon Jones? Like, not even take into account his striking and his talent as a fighter or a wrestler and a striker, but just his IQ. How do you beat that? It's hard. So I don't think that they're grappling like, like with Pavlovich and Blades and Tom Aspinall. I don't think that's enough. I don't think being able to hit hard is going to be enough because, John's fought plenty of that. And this is actually, we'll close off the main event talk in a minute, but this is actually a thought that I had because I got tired of people saying, and I think the UFC promos said this a lot too. I got tired of seeing people say, "Oh, well, Cyril Gane's a heavyweight. He lives here. Jon Jones is just coming. He's just showing up here. He's actually not even a heavyweight." And I'm like, he's always been a heavyweight though. Like, do you really think he was walking around at 205 back in the day?
Yeah.
No, he's probably like 230, 240 at least. And then when he's on fight night, probably 230, 240 when he fought. He weighed in at 205, but he could make heavyweight easy. And I'm sure we all know that. But now he put on mass to make sure he could make weight or not make weight, but to make sure it mattered. We didn't get to see enough of, what that meant, but I didn't feel like that is a good enough argument because you're telling me that Anthony Smith doesn't walk around at anything heavier than 205 or Thiago Santos.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, those dudes are huge.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're much heavier than 205.
Yeah, I remember when OSP went up to he went up to heavyweight. You saw him fight and he didn't look very good. And it was like there is an adjustment period to preparing for heavyweight versus being a light heavyweight, but I don't know. Like, I think Jon Jones did the right thing though. He took the time off, like you said, he put the right mass on, he trained it, he was ready for it, and that's what made him look so good, is that he knew he had to have his body in a certain way to perform the best of his abilities. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know if Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Let us know if you think GSP is the greatest of all time. Maybe we can start
We'll do another poll for that, yeah. But real quick, you brought up OSP.
Yeah.
I would use Daniel Cormier as an argument because I think that's better.
Yeah.
Because we're comparing them to Jon Jones.
Right.
So Daniel Cormier can do light heavyweight and heavyweight.
Right.
Is he a natural heavyweight? People say no, but it's like, I don't know. He handled the heavyweight division pretty easily.
The way he fucking eats, he's a natural heavyweight.
Yeah. And then look at Cain Velasquez. Is he a natural heavyweight? A lot of people would think no, because he was always so much smaller than his opponents, but look what he did.
Yeah.
So why is it so crazy to think that Jon Jones, who's much bigger than those two, can't handle someone just because they're a heavyweight?
Yeah.
Cyril's a huge heavyweight in the sense of like his physique. Not a lot of heavyweights get to be like that. That's like the Uberim stuff. Like, not a lot of heavyweights get to be a heavyweight because they're built like that.
Oh, also, I will point out real quick, it's a really good thing we never saw Jon Jones in this Israel Adesanya fight.
Oh yeah. Because that's been squashed now. I think if Izzy's not terrified,
we would have saw.
He's delusional.
It would have been like an episode of Law and Order SVU. Like, it would have been a rough one for sure. But so yeah, let us know your thoughts on that fight, man. It was a great performance by Jon Jones. I think the best analogy a friend gave me was they gave him blue balls, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I just didn't get to see enough."
Yeah, we're Jones and
so but yeah, man, let us know your thoughts. Let us know who you want to see Jon Jones defend the title against, because I hope he doesn't just beat Stipe and retire and call it.
Yeah,
I would like to see him. Also, it's funny because Dana White 23 years ago, I was gonna say 20 years ago, 3 years ago, was like talking all this shit about Jon Jones. Jon Jones wants this amount of money to go up to heavyweight.
Yeah, I remember.
Not only does Jon Jones get the fucking check, but he also gets the title.
Yeah.
And it's like
within 2 minutes.
yeah, and he got what he wanted at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
it's like he knew his worth, and he got what he wanted, and that's fucking awesome to see. I mean, I want to see no matter who these guys are, I want to see all these fighters make all the money.
Power to the
And
people.
hell yeah! So, co-main event, you saw Alexa Grasso with probably one of the biggest upsets we're ever gonna see. Just completely just be able to like go tit for tat with Valentina Shevchenko, and was able to dethrone her, get a rear naked choke in the 4th round, which one of the smoothest back takes
Yeah.
we've seen in a
They
very
wouldn't
long
stop
time.
talking about it, and I was for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yep.
You got to give credit where credit's due,
And
man.
like they finished watching the highlight, and then they moved to another clip, and they're still talking about the back take. They're ignoring what they're being shown at the moment, and they're still talking about the back take. And I'm like, yeah, it was really good.
It was smooth, man. I mean,
Valentina threw the spinning kick, and it's like that's why you don't do those things. High risk, high reward, but
yeah. I saw
it's
what's
very high risk.
very very high risk, especially whenever you're down in a fight. You
Yeah.
know, but Alexa Gracio, I mean, she did like 10 times better than I expected her to do. I like we said before, it's not in any disrespect or any type of way how we felt about how this fight was going to go down, but it was like it was Valentina Shevchenko, and
Yeah.
Alexa Gracio was able to utilize her boxing and was able to get the harder hits off, and then when it went down to the ground, she was able to really negate whatever Shevchenko was trying to do. She didn't get absolutely like even whenever she got put in a crucifix for just a split second, she was able to get out of that position and stay calm and just show a great defense. But that Alexa Grasso that showed up, I don't see anybody really giving her a run for her money. Besides Valentina Shevchenko, because she is so much about just being better than the last version of herself. Besides that, I don't see anybody else in the division that does it. Like I really enjoy Erin Blanchfield, but I don't see Erin Blanchfield beating her.
Not as far as that kind of performance, no. But you look at people who also fought last night. Cody Garbrandt, last night. Cody Garbrandt, like the performance he had against Dominic Cruz. Again, we've said this a couple times now. Greatest, in my opinion, greatest performance of any fighter of all time. I don't think anyone tops that ever.
Yeah.
He can't replicate that.
Right.
Whether it's because of an injury or whatever, he just can't replicate that. Will Alexa Grasso be able to come back and replicate what she did to Valentina? I don't know, but while watching that fight, I was actually trying to figure out what it is that was stopping Valentina from putting her strikes together, because that was what the issue was. She couldn't put everything together like she normally does. And they said why, and I was like, I think that's absolutely it. She couldn't land body shots or body kicks, which would set up like her low kicks. It would set up her high kicks. Like that set up everything is when she can start ripping them to the body. Then she gets you to start dropping your hands and starts making you guess where it's going to be next.
Yeah.
And she couldn't do that because of the stance changes. She was fighting in southpaw, and Grasso was orthodox. And they were saying like that's lending itself to Grasso's defense of the body shot. And that was kind of stopping Valentina from doing it. And yeah, I think that was probably a big reason on why Valentina couldn't string things together, is because she couldn't make Grasso lower her defense.
Right.
And I think that showed anyway.
Yeah, it was a good fight though. I was very surprised watching. I'm like, man, like even in the first round, I was like, I think Grasso's gonna take it. Like, I just the way that she came in, she had great defense. She used great boxing defense also. Like something about her boxing was able to completely take out Shevchenko's Muay Thai, which was surprising to see.
She had that high guard, and she would not move her right hand. She was not going to let Valentina land anything from her power side. It was really good. It was very technically sound, very very good performance. And whenever Valentina made a mistake, she capitalized on it and won the fight. And that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So I want to see a defense. That's what I'm going to ultimately say. And I think that's what everybody's going to ultimately say is, what does she do then? And does she beat other people? Like, does she beat Tyler Santos? Does she beat Jessica Andrade? And
you feel like there should be immediate rematch?
Yeah, I think so. And I think she said she thinks so as well. She was like, Valentina just ran this division for how long now? So of course she should get a rematch.
Yeah. And did you see a picture of how tight that choke was?
Yeah, with the like,
Dude, the line.
us white people know what that's like.
Yes. Dude, that was intense. I'm like, Jesus, man. No wonder. At first, because I was like, man, I can't believe she tapped. It wasn't in. Then I saw that picture. I'm like, I see what you tapped.
Yeah, and it was right across her mouth. Like,
can't breathe.
That was rough.
Yeah. when you feel like your freaking skull's gonna pop out from the top. So yeah, man, the mid card fight was in my opinion, my favorite fight of the night, and I'm sure other people would agree with me on that one. Yeah, Jeff Neal he took on Shavkat Rakhmonov, but Shavkat Rakhmonov got a standing rear naked choke.
I think his name is Shavkat
Rizmanov. And so, but man, dude, like a standing rear naked choke in a fight that both these guys were working for the finish, and
Yeah.
they were throwing heavy leather, dude. Like they're going at it, and I was watching this, and I'm like, man, because my coworker who was watching the fights with me stepped out, and I was like sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, you're missing such a good fight right now, dude. And like I was doing all time, I was like, dude, I have to take my phone with me. I cannot miss a minute of this fight. But I think some of this fight with Jeff Neal missing weight, he looked a little softer in the body, and I think that's really started to show some wear and tear, as Rakhmonov was really ripping to the body with some stuff.
I'm curious how hard he was trying to cut that weight, because maybe at a certain point he realized like it's not coming off. I'm gonna ease up with trying to stop, because if he doesn't, then he is gonna have those issues. His organs are gonna start giving him problems. Pain is gonna be a lot stronger. So like you're saying, he's getting hit in the body a lot. The knees to the body were really, really prominent by Shavkat. So I think, not that I think, but I'm curious if Jeff Neal was like, yeah, I'm going to ease up because I'm not making weight. So maybe if I don't push so hard and we still get to fight, maybe it won't be so bad.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, it's probably for the best. Because if he did keep pushing to make weight and then took all that punishment to the body, could have never been able to fight again. It gets real dangerous with those kind of weight cuts.
Yeah, it does. It gets really, really dangerous. And but man, I mean, Shavkat showed out. He choked him out cold. Like he as soon as he let go, he dropped straight to the ground, was out.
Oh.
I didn't know that either until the announcers were talking about it.
Oh yeah, I was about to say cold. No,
yeah,
know about all that.
Like he got the choke in. The next, like Jeff Neal just slumped straight to the ground. And they're like, they were showing it in slow motion. And the announcers were like, yeah, right there, he was out. Like it was just a tight choke that had been in. And so, yeah.
Well, the one thing I'll say, because I'm a big Rizmanov, sorry, excuse me. I don't know if you've seen all the stuff with Laura Sanko. It's it's funny. I hope that stuff didn't like get recorded while they were live. But anyway, I'll show you later. It's funny. Her and DC were having jokes, and Chris Weidman made it weird, or they all did. Anyway, Rakhmonov took a lot of punches, and it was cool to see that he's got a chin, because if you're taking punches from Jeff Neal, that's a really big deal. I don't think many people in the welterweight division can do that. But Jeff Neal is very, very much a boxing-oriented striker. You don't have to worry about too much with it other than his hands. So when you put him against some people in the top 5 who don't have to worry about takedowns, they don't care if they get taken down because they're like, I'll be all right. I think he starts having issues because people like Gilbert Burns, who can mix it up more than Jeff Neal, people like, Vicente Luque even, they can mix it up a lot more, and they're not really worried about getting taken down. So if Rakhmonov goes up against them and starts taking those shots, not just to the face, but to the legs, to the body, and then he's taking harder shots to the head because he knows they know he's worried about it all.
Yeah.
I think it's a different story, and I know there's some people who disagree with that, but I think it's a different story when you're going against someone who isn't mixing it up.
Yeah, and so but also Jeff Neal did a great job of defending those takedowns too.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Yeah. Like if he goes against Hamzat or Gilbert Burns, and he can't take them down, is he going to really stand with them? It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really tough one. But he definitely does need a couple more fights before he tries to break into that top 5. He just beat number 7. If he takes on, I'm not sure who's at number 6 right now.
With welterweight, it's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just so many stars at welterweight. It's hard. There always is.
They're all throwing down. Then, dude, I don't know, put him against Kevin Lee. Maybe he'll show us some holes that we haven't seen. So the other fights were Jalen Turner. Mateusz Gamrot defeating Jalen Turner by decision. It was a pretty good fight. You could tell it was definitely a short notice fight for these guys. But Gamrot just came in. He was just ready to throw down.
I don't know if I'd say ready. I don't know if I'd say ready to throw down.
He came in like fight shape.
Yeah, he was a lot more prepared to fight. He was a lot more conditioned to fight than I expected him to be. Yeah, I was thinking like Turner would be ready and Gamrot wouldn't. Gamrot's going to throw down in that first round, but Turner's going to wear him down and submit him in the final rounds because I figured Gamrot would be very comfortable on the ground. Turner's not bad on the ground, and he's so long, like he can get submissions from anywhere. He was trying for that like inverted triangle armbar that one little period of time where he was trying for that.
Mm.
I was still thinking he'd come out with something from that just because of how long he is.
Yeah.
But Gamrot's the veteran as far as those two go,
Yeah.
and
I mean, there's a
shows.
it showed, and it shows that if you want to break into the top 10, there's a couple things you got to clean up. I'm still a fan of Jalen Turner. I think
Yeah.
he comes back better after this fight. Mateusz Gamrot shows why he's inside the top 10, and so yeah, it was just all around.
It was a very good fight. I think both guys should have impressed anyone who watched that fight because it was a good fight. They both showed that they're great. Just one is a little further along than the other.
Yeah. So I mean, Jalen Turner will get there, and Mateusz Gamrot is just ready, waiting for that top 5 fight, and hopefully he gets it soon. So also, Bo Nickel will do exactly what everyone expected to do.
Real fast submission.
Yeah, kicked him in the dick. It was cool, I guess. But no, I'm just kidding. I think that would have happened regardless of the net shot. To be honest with you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with the way it went. But with the low blow, I'd have to go watch it again because I didn't catch it until you said it, and then I saw a lot of other people talking about it pretty quickly. So I assumed something happened, but I don't know. It's always hard to say, when a fighter loses and they say, "Oh, it was because of the low blow." It's easy to say that. So I don't know. I'm not trying to like say Jamie Pickett was looking for an excuse or anything like that, or his team. It's just you got submitted. Move on.
Yeah.
It sucks. It is what it is. If it is because of that, I'm sorry.
It just sucks that it had to happen like that because now it's like some people are going to, of course, be like, well, there was a low blow. It's like he was going to take him down and choke him out regardless, guys. Like,
And then what if we go back and watch that low blow, what if it didn't really make much contact?
Yeah.
I didn't go back and watch it, so I have no idea.
What if he just got a good knee up to the belly?
Yeah.
Right to the belly button.
One of Shavkat's knees looked really low, and I think John Anik even commented, he's like, "Ooh, that was right on the belt line. Got to be careful there." And I was just like, "Yeah." And Jeff Neal's already like hurt in the body, so the lower you go, the more pain he's gonna feel, and probably the more scared he's gonna be.
And so, but yeah, so looking forward to hopefully they give Bo Nickel a quick turnaround. Then Cody Garbrandt looks defeating Trevin Jones by decision.
He looked really good.
Yeah, I think great.
I think a lot of it was coming from Jones and his lack of action. Yeah. So Cody Garbrandt was able to relax and be himself. Yeah. When he's allowed to be himself in there, I think that's when he does his best. And I think a lot of his failures in the cage, if you want to call them that, his losses, I think a lot of that is because he's in his own head a lot of the times. In this one, he kind of was able to relax and he got to be himself. Did you know he was injured? He has to get surgery on his neck. He said the warm-ups before the fight, he was drilling takedowns and he got slammed on his neck, or he like went down on his neck pretty bad, and apparently that happened in the locker room.
Oh gosh, man. No, like he looked so good. He looked great, man. He looked like a guy. He looked like
breaking news.
Like I told you, is like he looked like a mixed martial artist and not like a knockout artist.
Yeah.
He was kind of dancing on him a little bit, showing the good footwork, showing it was improvements he was moving. He had really good side to side footwork as well. That's something that he's always kind of been vulnerable to, is dropping his hand as he's moving to his left side. And that's how he got knocked out by Kai Kara France, right into that right hand. He showed wrestling. I mean, those takedowns he got were really, really good. That third round had me worried because Trevin Jones, like you could tell he respected the power a little too much. Like that's I think that's what kind of cost him that fight. He respected that power a lot, and he just didn't want to get caught. And but that third round he catches Cody Garbrandt, and I feel like freaking Cody Garbrandt had like a PTSD flashback, dude. Like because you saw the second that he got it clipped real good, like Trevin Jones landed a real good shot. All of Cody's like he got really stiff again, and he started standing short like he used to. Like whenever like Dillashaw knocked him out, and I'm like, oh shit, like he's freaking out right now, and he's trying to remain calm. And he did lose. I thought he lost that third round, but he was able to like prolong it. He was able to stay calm, stay collected, and ended up getting a decision win. So hopefully, I mean, that his neck injury isn't too serious. He doesn't need surgery, but and he can just do some stuff, and we see him again this year.
I'd like to at least see him get ranked again
Yeah, and
because
so
it's sad not seeing a number next to his name
yeah, it was crazy
when
just
we know
watching
how
it.
good he can be.
Yeah, it was crazy watching that, and but also shout out to Dewey Cooper for helping him really hone in and
That's right. They were
Cody,
talking about that last night.
yeah, helping Cody Garbrandt really hone in who he is as a fighter as well, though. So yeah, Dricus Duplessis beat Derek Brunson by
In
retirement.
standard Dricus fashion, being garbage on the feet and getting exhausted and then winning in the next round.
Like, dude, he the announcers were saying, they're like, oh, but if he has Dricus after this fight, he'll swear he wasn't tired.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're exhausted right now, man. How are you gonna say, I wasn't gassed?
It was just crazy seeing Derek Brunson get gassed.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy to see because he was, and it's not even because he was doing all of the work. Like, he just, I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain that. Like, something about Dricus, he's like a freaking, you know how Liang, his name is the Leech. I feel like that needs to be Dricus.
Yeah.
He's a leech. Something about him. He just drains your energy.
But Derek Brunson got hit a couple times, and then he got a real hard leg kick, and then after that, he just, like, you saw him stiffen up. He couldn't really stand on the leg very well.
He wouldn't even lift his hands after a while.
Yeah, because he was so tired, and I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing?
He just got battered within like a matter of a few seconds.
Yeah,
I think it's those little enchantments Dricus has on his hands. He's got like some life drain or something.
Yeah, or he's got like freaking, what's it called? He has he just put a trap card on him.
Give us some Sekiro things. What are some things going on in Sekiro?
I'm trying to think of something that could relate to that, but yeah, I can't.
We play video games.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I play a lot of video games.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't know. Dricus is always fun to watch. I'm a big fan of his. I do wish he would clean it up a little bit. Because
clean it up a lot.
Eventually it's not gonna work. I just, stand up against Derek Brunson. You'll be all right. But dealing with the takedowns was impressive. Not getting submitted was impressive.
We'll do a little matchmaking real quick. I really want to see him fight Jared Cannonier. Why not?
Duplessis?
Yep.
Scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. But
anytime I see someone standing opposite Jared Cannonier, I'm scared for them. Dude, it's so hard.
It's terrifying. It really is, because it's like you could literally put a man on a stretcher with one punch.
Yeah.
Like, he has.
How do you drop down 2 weight classes and still have the same power?
Yeah, nuts, dude. So, any other fights you would like to mention from last night?
The Andre Mark Barrio fight. His fight with Julian Marquez was really fun, and they were throwing down from start to finish. Which is it Mark Andre or Andre? Mark Andre. Barrio got the finish. It was really fun. He and Julian were going at it, and then after a while they just started brawling out of exhaustion, and Mark caught him, and that was it. It was just really fun though. I think that one and then Neil and Rachmanov are probably the 2 best fights that night.
Yeah, they threw down. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on Jon Jones. Let's hope that he makes it without a failed drug test. It just scares me because it's happened before. He came back 214. He came back at UFC 214, and then he popped. And then so I'm like, please don't fail another drug test. But I'm just being a dick about it. So let us know your thoughts on Jon Jones. Let us know what your thoughts on Jones versus Stipe is. Yeah, so
if you think Jon Jones is the GOAT, follow us on Instagram. And if you think GSP is the GOAT, follow us on Instagram. And yeah.